I have always appreciated Davante Adams, always enjoy talking with him, interviewing him, because he will say what's on his mind. He will give you a pretty honest answer to a lot of different questions. He's talking about what would I look like here, talking about playing on another team. Well, he just did that after Aaron kind of put him in that type of situation. I would say this on the Davante Adams front, because there's been a lot of things that have been said. There's a lot of things that have been, I would say, people jumping to certain conclusions for whatever their reasons might be on this. Davante Adams is entering the last real year of his contract with the Raiders. He's due a little under $17 million fully guaranteed this year. He's then got these lump sum $36+ million numbers over the next 2 years, which at the time he signed the contract were definitely outrageous. They're slightly less outrageous now when you've got Justin Jefferson making $35 a year. But the intention was never that he was going to see those years. Those were put on the end to up the paper average of the deal and make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL. He's going to be 32 later this year. He's on a Raiders team that finished hot last year. There's no doubt about it. They play a lot better with Antonio Pierce. They also, and I think that Adams made this clear on the Receivers show, he was ready. He said he signed off on the benching of Jimmy Garoppolo decision. Obviously, he thought that there was something there with Aiden O'Connell. They did win games with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback. Now Gardner Minshew is also part of that team. We'll see what direction the quarterback competition goes. The reality of the NFL is this. Guys at Davante Adams' age who make as much money as Davante Adams rarely stay on bad teams for the whole season. Mm-hmm. If the Raiders come out hot and one of those quarterbacks is playing well and they're 4-1 or whatever, Davante Adams is probably going to play out this year with the Raiders, and then we'll see. It's probably not going to be on the same contract. They probably have to do something else. The Raiders start 1-4, and it's a mess. I would not be surprised at all if Joe Douglas is calling the Raiders at some point before the end of this, before the trade deadline, which is November 5th this year. It's the only thing happening on November 5th, as a matter of fact. It's quite the scheduling. Tuesday in November. No one's reacting. No one gets it. Politics, presidential election, same day as the NFL trade deadline.
Oh.
It's an interesting piece of timing there.
Why would they do that?
It's always the same day. That's when they pushed it back 1 week, and now here it is.
Historic election might want to move things, maybe.
Well, they actually did. They pushed it back a week to November 5th. They could have pushed it back 2 weeks and gone a little later.
On a Wednesday.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
That's where it is. It's on the same day. And so my sole focus will be on the NFL trade deadline. And then at 4 o'clock, I'll see what else is going on in the world. At some point, if the Raiders are in bad shape, I would be surprised if they don't call. Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you?
But you're still going into this season. Davante Adams could have pushed a lot of buttons to get himself out of Las Vegas now. I know he built a house out there. He's wanted to be there. There have been a lot of changes since. Obviously, they moved on from Derek Carr last year. Things didn't work out with Josh McDaniels. Things didn't work out with Jimmy Garoppolo. And now here we are with him doing interviews. I don't think by any stretch it's far-fetched. I think that if, depending how the season goes, this is an absolute conversation in October and the first 4 or 5 days of November that Davante Adams potentially could end up as a New York Jet. But that's totally dependent on where are the Jets at that point, where are the Raiders at that point. And, the Jets have a lot of salary and a lot of cap on their books. There'd probably have to be some other maneuvering in order to make this possible. But is it possible? Yeah, absolutely.
And especially if you watch receivers, I don't know if you guys have. You see, this was last year, obviously, but he was not happy at all.
Well, he was not alone in that.
Yeah,
there were a lot of unhappy people. It was not the right fit with the way that they were running that program, the way that Josh McDaniels had set it up. Josh McDaniels is a good football coach. You have this renegade bunch of dudes, though, in that locker room. Max Crosby is one of the guys who runs that organization. And, it wasn't a good match. Antonio Pierce takes over. They win a game. Max is hugging Antonio and smoking a cigar in the locker room. Yeah. Then what's going to happen with Josh? That dynamic, we talked about it yesterday. It's one thing to do that on an interim basis through the end of the season. Totally different thing to do it for a full season. I'm fascinated to see how things go with the Raiders. They've got their work cut out for them in a division with the Chiefs, as well as Jim Harbaugh taking over the Chargers, and Sean Payton with the Broncos. They tapped into something. Will it continue into 2024? We'll see.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.